Hi, I'm Pam Hoelzle, and this is Dear Rockstar, the podcast and the videos. When I started this, I really wanted a place where we could talk about passion, purpose, and designing lives that are meaningful and fulfilling, finding our unique path and following it, and starting those things that are in our heart. We have lots of frameworks for getting jobs, but there's not a lot of places and not a lot of conversations about how to turn the ideas that are inside, whispering inside of our heart and souls, into reality in our lives. Today, I am excited to have Steele with me. He is one of the first people I met when I came to Orlando. The good, the bad, and the ugly. We have had some history, but I immediately was captured by Kyle's passion. He is a serial entrepreneur. He's done a couple ventures, has a real heart for education, is currently working with has co-founded Learn Jelly, an education platform. So I'm psyched to have you here today.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we're at Maya Papaya Organic Farm. Is it beautiful or what?
It feels good.
Yeah.
I was more concerned with the weather.
Right.
Right, because it was, as I said earlier, if it was August, I would probably not like you.
This would not be good in Orlando.
It would not be good. You have to have a bucket of towels ready for me.
Yeah. Well, our listeners and our viewers don't have as much history with you as I do, but I would love you to just start by sharing a little bit about what Learn Jelly is.
Right.
And then, because that'll give us some context. And then I want to talk a little bit about how you started down the road of starting things.
Right, okay. I think the easiest place for me to start is who I am, right?
Yeah.
And growing up in the inner city of Detroit, I always think about like the people I grew up with and who, and those of us who made it out and those of us who did make it out, and what was the difference? Like why did that happen? And one of the things that happened, I believe, as I step back, is that I was exposed to things like experiences that allowed me to see things beyond my neighborhood, beyond my community, right? And that had a profound impact on me. And so when I think about what I'm doing at Learn Jelly, the mission for us is really simple. It's about ensuring every kid has the opportunity to access high quality learning and discovery experiences, right?
Okay, so I want to say that again. Making sure every kid has the opportunity to access
high quality learning and discovery experiences, right? And so when we say every kid, we're talking about not only the kid who has access because they live in a community where they have an abundance of resources,
right,
but we're talking about the kid at the farm, the kid in inner city Detroit or Chicago,
right,
or wherever in some other country, right?
Right.
And the goal
kid
is
whose family's living in a car down in Kissimmee, right? And
right. And so the reason why that's important is because through those experiences of learning and discovering, it allows you to see things and allows you to shape who you are, and ultimately starts projecting you towards your gift or your purpose, as I say, right? And that's the world I want to live in, right? Like a world where people are living in their purpose, living in their gift. And so with Learn Jelly, that's what we're about. We're about providing that experience, and the way that we do that is by taking concepts based on academic concepts, like fractions,
okay,
right, or the water cycle.
Yeah.
Any academic concept, right?
Right.
So you have math, science, history, whatever. They can be broken down into very simple concepts.
Right.
And so we take these concepts in academia or academic concepts. We can take life lessons, leadership, whatever, gratitude.
And then what do we do?
And then we could also take vocational skills like, hobbies or bridge building or whatever, and we can turn those into mini stories that then we give to the student, and the student then works with by reading it and then going through a process where they transform it into an animated film. And through that experience, they're able to deeply learn that concept.
So it's about story and then taking that story and creating an animated film.
I mean, yeah, I mean
video.
that's the pathway, right?
Okay.
But
it's this concept is the focus.
Yeah, the concept is about them learning that concept,
Right.
being able to discover something.
Storytelling.
Yeah, and then being able to create something in the process. So we say, you know, we're about helping elementary kids learn, discover, and create things, right? Awesome. And so through that experience, like I said, by going through that, you're able to give kids a really good learning experience.
Yeah.
An opportunity to discover things that they've never would have run into.
Yeah.
And ability to create something really cool.
Okay, so that's Learn Jelly,
Yeah.
and then there was this little boy that grew up in Detroit.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about what was the first time you started something?
Well, I don't know. I was in Detroit, and a friend of mine down the street was somewhat entrepreneurial. We didn't think of it that way.
Right.
We just wanted to like sell kids stuff.
Yeah.
And so we used to do things like we grew up in a community somewhat like this. It was Detroit, but it was the outskirts of Detroit, but it was Detroit proper.
Okay.
And so you can find little snakes and mice and turtles and stuff.
Yeah.
And so we would get all the stuff and make a farm, right? Like, or not a farm, but a zoo.
A zoo.
A zoo, and
Were they alive?
Yeah, they were alive, and we would put them into our backyards, and then put them in like little fish tanks that we would find on the side of the road, and we would charge kids admissions for this.
All right, so we had a zoo.
A zoo, and then we would do other things like the Smurfs was a big thing growing up, and so we would find like these big fungi that would live, or fungi is the proper word, is it's living off the side of a tree, and we would cut them and we would sell them, and we would say, hey, these are Smurf houses. And then the other one that would get us in trouble all the time.
Yeah, this goes back to the whole idea of value creation.
Yeah, right? Right. It's like, just how do you pimp what you see?
Pushing it or pulling it to
Yeah.
the market.
Yeah.
Okay, so it started early.
Yeah, it started early, and sometimes things would go over well, and then sometimes you got yelled at, right?
Yeah.
And I've had plenty of those opportunities or experiences where I got yelled at.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It didn't work. So what was your first, tell us a little bit about the startup that led you to where you are now, Learn Jelly.
Well, I think it was probably back then.
Was it?
I mean, if you think about it, right? Like, like the ability to take something and intuitively feel as though people would want it, and figure out how to package it and put it together. Kind of that's where it started, right? I mean, it's easy to say, well, it started in college, or it started after college.
No, but it started there, where you saw that you had something you could bring of value to someone else, whether they would pay with their eyeballs or their time or their money.
Yeah, I mean, I figure I can give them this thing and they would enjoy it, right? If it was providing them some joy. So I would say that it started back then.
Yeah. So your life as a starter or a maker, and this path you've been taking to create this life of yours, tell us some of the inflection points along the way, like.
Well, you start there as a kid selling, like I said, fungi to people, telling them Smurf houses and starting zoos and chocolate covered ants, right? Which you get yelled at, and then goes into college and you say, by the way, you go into the bookstore. Books are highly expensive, and you say, okay, they're selling a used book that they just buy from me, right? They give me $5, and they then go out and charge the student $80. Like there's a ripoff there, right?
Yeah.
So what I can do is I can take that book and buy it from the student as a student. I could buy it from you, because what I was doing is going around to professors and asking them, what book are you going to use next year? And I can buy those books for slightly more, so they make money, and then for me, slightly less, so then they don't go to the bookstore and house them. Now I got stuck on a few of those deals because the professors changed the book, right?
Changed the book.
But it was understanding that, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, it was continuing that cycle of trying to create things, and which ultimately led into my adulthood, and then where I am now, which was really started from the inception of it was very pure for me, because it started from a volunteer experience, something that I care about.
Tell us a little bit about that. Because we
So
want to hear about any pure inception.
yeah. So as a violent, so I got to a stage where I was just ready to. I was less interested in taking, but I was more interested in how do I give back? How do I use these gifts, these talents, these skills in order to give back? And so, so I had an opportunity to do that at a school locally called Fern Creek Elementary, where I was introducing these children to software coding, because I saw that coding in itself was that one thing that you could learn without a lot of expense that could change financially your life, right?
How old were these students?
They were elementary kids, so I mean, you're talking about 8, 9, 10-year-olds,
Okay.
right? So it was a little audacious, right? Because you're going really, really young, and so that was my purpose. Like, that's what I wanted to do. And so I had another startup, and so I was going into the classroom every day, teaching, or not every day, every Friday, for 2 hours every Friday, teaching these kids this concept. But at the same time, I had a startup, so like things were just chaotic in my life. But what I realized is that that when I was teaching, when I was introducing these children to coding in the way that I designed it, or the way that I came up with, which ultimately ended up birthing, will turn into Learn Jelly, things were very calm. Like the outside world stopped talking.
Wow. So it was your flow.
It was
like it was you synced up.
Yeah, right. It was like I felt all that mattered was me giving as much as possible to these kids, and it didn't matter if I was hungry. It didn't matter if my rent was late. It didn't matter if, I don't know, bill collector was calling me, whatever. Like, it just didn't matter. Nothing else mattered outside. What mattered at that moment was this, and that experience allowed me to be able to focus. And then I remember saying, like, this is something interesting. This is a place I've never been before.
Wow. In terms of purpose?
Yeah, just in terms of just my understanding of, like, what am I supposed to be doing here?
Yeah.
So,
How do you define that right now? What do you feel your purpose is?
well, I think my purpose is really centered around the whole making sure every kid has an experience, right? Because I look at the world and I say, well, this world could be a lot better if people were, like, look, I mean, things are going to happen, right?
Right.
Life happens. And so if you're going to go through life, in the ups and downs of life, what's most important is just to be happy. And I found that if you find that happiness, that place where you really enjoy what you're doing, that stuff just becomes a lot more palatable, right? I'm not at this job and I don't get upset because I make less money or somebody slighted me, right? Like, I'm doing this because I love it. And so now, if I make less money, it's okay. If somebody slights me, it's okay. So to me, the key became, how do you find that place where the craziness of life just kind of starts to minimize and go away. And the way I found that was just through really that purpose, right? Like, understanding what that purpose is and really trying to live that out. And all that stuff just goes away. It makes it easier to get up and to deal with the stuff that you have to deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah, and then the challenge becomes, how do you help people to navigate the path to find that place for them? Because, like
Right.
you said, we're all individuals, right?
Right. I mean, well, the world says, go out there, find a problem, solve it, and get people to pay for it, right? So, like, I can go around, I can walk around and say, okay, well, this lawn, this needs to be,
Yeah, there's some problems.
there's some problems right
There's
here,
some
right?
problems with this.
Right,
There's
right.
some problems
Yeah,
with
right. There's a
that.
lot of stuff, right, that needs to be fixed, right? And I can do that. But the question is, like, am I going to be happy with that? And
Well, and even like when I watch you, I think it's even deeper than happy. Like, right? Like, there's this whole sense of peace or joy, or it's past just this circumstantial thing. It's like fulfillment.
right,
Right?
right,
And
right.
we don't get a lot of messages about what's the path to fulfillment.
right. So, you and I had this conversation a while ago, and I remember it was in the back of your car. As you were, no, it was Shakira's car. and we were moving. She kept warning how messy the car was, and she was moving stuff. But I remember having like this really cool conversation in the midst of all this mess, right? And the conversation was this, which was, I think the thought that I was hovering around was that entrepreneurship should be around finding your passion first versus versus the problem first, right?
Yeah, so stop right there. It's you first, figuring out your passion and your sweet spot.
Understanding that and taking and surveying your entire life and surveying the things that you don't like and do like the single goal is like, can I do, like I wouldn't be able to do what I do. It's hard, right? So it's hard financially. It's hard as a male. It's hard from a pride standpoint because the world says you should look like this as a man.
Meaning you should be going after the biggest, most scalable.
Well, yeah, you should have a big house and you should have, drive a Mercedes Benz and the things, right? Because you're a man, right?
Right.
And so the world says it's like that's where you should be, and I say, it's hard, right? Like it's hard dealing with all that stuff, and so how do I find a place where I can get up and be excited about what I do every single day, and missing a payment on something or not having this won't derail me, right, from what I'm ultimately supposed to do.
Right.
And so then
there's a sacrifice right now in this purposeful place that you're building out Learn Jelly, right? There's this sacrifice of big paycheck or security or house, and it's an investment in a meaningful, fulfilling life. But it doesn't come without a lot of compromise, right?
Right. Yeah. I don't mean, and I don't want to sound cliche, but
no, I think it's for many people. This is the thing of how do I trust what's whispering that feels right when the message out here is so contrary.
Correct. So my question would be to most people, well, let's remove money from the equation. Let's just assume, that you will make, I don't know, $40,000 and you'll do that for the rest of your life.
Okay.
What is that thing that you can do and you will be at peace with that 40,000? Right?
That's a whole different question.
Right, yeah.
What is the thing that if you were to invest your whole self and life and time, regardless of what you make, that on your last day you're like, wow.
Right.
I lived the most outrageous life because of who I became and what I did and who I was.
Right. And the money didn't matter, right? Like I feel like I've contributed because I've thought about that last day.
How did you get so sane? Like, how did you get there?
Well, because I thought about that last day. I mean, when you talk about that last day, like I used to spend in my 20s, I used to spend time thinking about death and stuff like that. And
see, that's why I love the people on this show, right? Like, they think about things like death in their 20s and they want to do meaningful shit.
Right. So
you're sitting around thinking about death when you're 20.
And I remember writing a piece in a statement. The question was, what would you want people to say about you? What would people say about you right now? And when I thought about that question, the things weren't very good. They were very superficial and shallow, right? And I thought to myself, if I went to the end and I lived that life, then that was a life wasted. If people can say, well, he had a nice watch or he was a good dresser or whatever, I thought to myself, man, that's terrible. And that was a life, that's where I was. And if I died today, that scared me because that's what people would be saying. And as a result, that would be a wasted life for me.
Wow. So like self-awareness, like this real mindful thing of who have I become?
Right.
Who am I really?
Right.
Right? And do I want to be this? Like, I've always had that thought of that woman I want to grow up to be.
Right.
And as you get closer to like being her grandmother, not being the little girl, but being the grandma, you're like, girlfriend, it's time to be that woman.
Yeah.
Like, right? What are we waiting for?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you're allowed to make mistakes, right? Like it's not like I didn't figure out have that epiphany that day, and it changed. Like I had to say, okay, this is it. This is where it stops, right?
Yeah.
Who like what do I want people to say? And that was the next part of the exercise. I want people to say this, and I still actually have that sheet. Like I found it the other day.
So you went through the thing of who would they say I am if I died now?
Yeah, which is.
And then who do I want them to say? Who do I want to be?
Yeah, I mean, it started with which is the answer. Like, where do you start? The answer started with the looking at the end. So
Beginning with the end in mind.
Yeah,
It's all done.
So I could say that it sounds a little like you say, okay, well, I want people to think of me in this concept, which would be the most glorious.
Funny.
Yeah, like the most glorious. So it seems a little manipulated that you would go through the process,
but it's a perspective. It's a lens.
Yeah, it was a lens, but at the focus of that was at the core is like did I have impact on people? Did I change some kid's life slightly, right? Which to me, even slightly, you change a piece of light slightly. If you track it over time, it turns into a big difference, right? But initially it just seems slightly. So we have a tendency to say, oh, the impact was only slightly, so it doesn't matter. But over time, it matters, right?
Yeah.
So it was really about like how the question was not how I could become the person I need to become in order to shape this image about personally who I am, but it was more or less becoming the person I come so I can do the things I need to do in order to give the world and leave the world better and to help people become the people they need to be.
Wow. So on that journey, what's been the hardest part of living that? Right? Because that's not.
Well, just getting pulled into the everyday trappings of what's going on out here, right? I mean, because we're in such a materialistic world where,
right.
The value is placed on the house, the car, the this, right?
Versus the service or the contribution or the impact they're making.
And service and impact sometimes gets messy and gets ugly.
Yeah.
It's not the most beautiful car. It's not the most beautiful house.
Yeah. So in your journey of startup, what have been some of the big lessons for you?
Well, I think one is just really understanding what that mission is and that vision and just trying to follow that, right? Like follow that mission, that vision. The other thing is surrounding myself by people who come into the realization that I don't know everything, right? Like, so you have to take the ego out of you and put it somewhere else.
Moment.
Right? So you and I had that moment before.
We've all had that moment, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. There's just that's another socialization thing. Like, I think we feel like we're supposed to do it all, or it's some kind of Superman, Superwoman thing.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be done in community. I'm convinced of that. So having that realization that I don't know everything and I have to surround myself by people who are as evenly yoked as me and know things that are different than me, that I can go to and ask questions and trust their knowledge and their wisdom, and then implement it, right? So knowing that I don't have to recreate, I don't have to learn all of this. I can go to you because you're an expert in this. And because I understand my limitations and my gaps, what I'm missing, right? So I understand what I'm missing, and so I surround myself by people who do things that are better than me, right?
Yeah, wisdom.
Yeah,
wow. So that's one of the major.
Yeah, that's one of the major things. So I think it's just that.
What do you mean by equally yoked? When you're I understand that from a spiritual standpoint, right? Or like, what does that mean on a startup, on a team, on a venture, a social change mission? What does that mean?
Well, that means that they're either they're like they view the world somewhat similar to me, that their life. So I don't want to be yoked with someone who life is about getting as much things like it's all about money, it's all about power, it's about status. Like I don't want to be yoked with someone like that because we're not evenly yoked, because I don't think the same way.
So value alignment.
And
those core things. Mission alignment on the people on your team. They're very diverse skills, I heard you say, and expertise.
Skills. Yeah.
But their values, their priorities, and their mission is similar.
Yeah, similar. Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, that's it.
Have you ever felt like giving up?
Of course.
Well, what do you do in those moments? Like, what gets you through on your hardest day?
Well, I've had enough of those moments to know that it's just part of the process.
It just comes with what, being human or being a starter?
Yeah, I mean, being human, being a starter, you have enough of those moments where you just know how to get through those days. You make it through one bad day, and you keep going through bad days, and you make it through, then you feel pretty confident about getting through most bad days, right?
Yeah.
But in general, it's about, for me, it's about my own personal faith and being grounded there first. It's about the people who I surround myself with, the community that also helps feed me as an individual. And then it's about the people who I'm serving, right? So I go to a classroom and a kid, I'm having a terrible day, and a kid goes, "Oh my God, I love this. This is the best thing ever." So, in that moment, you think to yourself, man, I've done all of this stuff to get that child to the point where they can say that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's the vision. I mean, you just told me when the kid says that, you've made your difference, right? And that seed has been sown.
Yeah.
So Learn Jelly now, what's the biggest challenge you have for Learn Jelly, and what comes next?
Well, what comes next for us is that we've done all this time, validating the concept around storytelling and learning, like using storytelling to learn and discover. So we've done all that. We're in the process of creating a product. For us, the next step is to put that product into classrooms and continuously seek validation. So we've done that. We've put it out there just conceptually, and we got all of these pre-orders, which is really good. But then we're keeping that momentum, right?
So what kind of classroom? Is there a specific type of educator or
Well, yeah, we were talking about
or
3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teachers, right?
3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah,
And does the district usually, are they your client, or the school, or is it actually the teacher?
At this stage, it's the strategy, right? My knowledge of the school system says this. It says that districts, there's a lot of red tape, and things have to go through a lot, right, in order to get in, right? So it's going to take a lot of time. As a startup, I don't have that luxury, right? So what I have to do is figure out, how do I get my product into the classroom immediately? And the way that we decided to do that was by making Learn Jelly so affordable that a teacher can pay for it out of pocket.
Okay.
Because that's our strategy.
So how much is it going to be?
Well, for a teacher, it's 99 cents a student.
Oh, wow.
So we make it really affordable.
Yeah.
So if you have a class of 25 students, so that's the goal. Get it in there, because I know that this is what happens, right? The teacher has an experience,
right?
And they see how it supports their academic objectives. They see how it's impacting their kids, and then what they do is they tell that value. They give that value, communicate that value to parents and administrators, and then the administrators say, "Oh, our teachers love this, so we need this." And the parents say, "Oh, my child loves this, and I see this," so then they go and buy another license for their kids to do it outside the classroom. So the key is to really go after the teachers, make it extremely affordable, and communicate its value, and for them to be able to communicate its value to administrators and to parents, and that's it. So
and if your vision is realized in Learn Jelly, what happens to the students that use it?
Well, we just want to introduce. That's what it's about. So our vision.
Digital media.
No, introduce whatever it is. Remember, it starts with a single question: what do I want this child to learn or discover?
Oh, what do I want this child? Because the teacher is going to say social studies,
or the parent, right? Yeah,
the planets, or
right. So you think about
fossil fuels.
Yeah. You think about a kid who lives in inner city. I keep using Detroit, but inner city Detroit, and the question becomes, what do I want this kid to learn or discover? That kid could never go and discover ancient Egypt, right? Go back there.
Right, and now we can do it.
And now we can introduce them to that and do it in a very inexpensive way. And so give them these experiences where the kid is now says, "Oh, I like this. I want to learn more about this." Okay, great. Now you've been introduced, you can go somewhere else and learn. And so we have to become better in the future, connecting them to other opportunities. Right. But right now, it's just, for us, it's about introducing them to as much as stuff.
Thing.
Yeah, just get them to
fueling curiosity.
Right, and learning, discovering, and building stuff. Right? And so that's what we need to do. Introduce.
So what would you say to your younger self when you were first starting out at starting and making things?
That's a funny question. Man, that actually threw. I have to think about that.
The advice you'd give to yourself earlier that would have made it a lot easier for you to get where you are today.
Yeah. I mean, like, do I want it to be easy? All the experiences that I had.
Well, maybe easy is the wrong word.
Yeah, like all the experiences I have turned me into the individual I am, and I'm happy with who I am.
Amen, right?
So,
like, there's no mistakes on our past because it's,
yeah.
I think, been purposefully allowed, enabled,
Yeah.
so that we could get the gifting and the experience and the perspective of where we are now.
Yeah.
But you would have to have some advice
Maybe I would
for
just
your
be
younger
like,
self.
look, man, just buckle up, man.
Buckle up.
This is about to be crazy.
Get your helmet on.
Yeah, it's about to be
buckle
crazy.
Up.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a ride.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. So you're not gonna live a life that is normal. And
no normal lives.
And so maybe I would say that. Because maybe if I thought at some point that I would live a pretty normal life, and then I realized, this is kind of like not normal.
So what does success look like for you? If you hit your vision of success, what is that? How do you define it?
I thought about this moment where I thought about me being an 80-year-old man and some kid coming back and saying, you know what, I'm this. And the reason why I'm this is because, like, I took your class or did this product a long time ago, and it showed me this, and then it just set my curiosity off, and now I'm doing this, and to see that they're happy with who they've become because of something that I introduced to them that was so small in the beginning. I think that would be success for me, not like, oh, I have this huge bank account or this house or whatever, but hearing that.
Yeah.
Because then I know that it wasn't a life wasted.
Yeah.
That I lived it right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So as we wrap up today, what's the one piece of advice you'd say to someone that's kind of on the fence about that something's really whispering for them to start?
Yeah.
They have this urgency, but they have a lot of doubt.
There's always going to be doubt. But you got to just start it, right? Like, so I said to myself, what gives me comfort in starting things is that there are things that I care about, which is right? And because I care about them, my reasoning for doing it is on the right things because I want to positively impact people. It's not because I want to make money or whatever.
It syncs up with your purpose.
Yeah, it syncs with my purpose or my values. So that gives me comfort. And then knowing that I have a community of people who are around me and support that, I'm good.
So I hear you giving us a framework. Get clear on what your purpose and your passion is.
Right.
Why you think you're on the planet.
Right.
Get support around you.
Correct.
A mentor, some people that believe in you.
Yes.
And have some different skills.
Yeah, and just do it, right?
And take the first step.
And do it. And I think the most important, the other thing is to give yourself a clear objective. Like, you got to find, obviously, product market fit. I mean, we can't get around the fundamentals, right?
Right.
So you don't want to waste your time. You're valuable. You have gifts that the world needs, and only you can give it. I cannot afford you as a world to have you doing things that don't allow you to maximize that gift. So the question becomes,
we cannot allow anybody sitting on the side. We need everybody in the game.
But then
with their gifts.
But then I think the other piece I would add to that is that if you're going to succeed and you find that thing and you're succeeding, great, keep doing it. But the other thing is to get you to fail as fast as possible, so I can get you moving on to the next thing, so you can succeed.
So if it's not working and you're getting that pain, just try the next thing.
Yeah, you got to fail.
You got to move.
You got to fail fast.
Fail fast.
All right, fail fast.
Yeah, say that 10 times.
Yeah, fail fast.
Fast.
As we say in class, fail fast, fix it quick, or fail fast, fix it quick. Fail fast, fix it quick. Because that's what we say. I tell my students all the time. Failure. I say fail fast, fix it quick, and so they always do it. It's a tongue twister.
Get comfortable with that, right?
Yeah, failure is a good thing, right? I mean, don't look at it as a negative.
Right.
Because if you're doing everything that you need to do, you're out there, you're selling, you're trying to de-risk, you're testing assumptions, you're finding product market fit. If you're doing that consistently, and the market still isn't buying what you're selling,
You're getting a message.
then you're getting a message that you need to like either dramatically change something, or you need to stop and do the next thing. And
I love that saying, when we grew up, I heard that voice constantly. Winners never quit. And I've turned it around to winners quit things all the time.
Right.
They quit things when there's proof and evidence that they
Yeah.
should be investing themselves in
Right.
something else.
Right.
So get really good at being a quitter.
Yeah.
When
Right.
the evidence is such.
Right. I mean, look at like sports. You just talk about sports, like LeBron James. I know that LeBron James was also doing football. Like he could have
Oh, I
probably
didn't
played.
know that.
Yeah, he could have. He was a football player in high school. At some point, he had to give up football or basketball, and he chose basketball. Right. So he couldn't. Like I don't think that he could have been great at both. Like he was supposed to be basketball, and he's ended up being the greatest player on the planet right now, and he had to give up and quit something. I mean, if he would have followed that philosophy, he would have just been mediocre at both. Because I mean, if you have 100% of the day, right, you only have so much time. You can add time, right? And so, my thing is find and be absolutely focused, like laser focused on that thing, and eliminate all the distractions. That's why I tell people no part-time jobs. If you can't do start a business, and you're not full-time in it, then that says something, right? There's something going on there. The key is how do you get in there full-time and dedicate 100% of your energy to it, so that way you can succeed fast, or succeed or fail as fast as possible and move on, right?
Amen. Oh my gosh, I could stay here and we could talk
Yeah, we
forever,
can.
because I love your heart and I love what you're doing. But I think
Thanks.
really encouraging us today to think about what's our purpose, why are we on the planet, what's our work, and let
Yeah.
that inform
Yeah.
what we commit ourselves wholly to.
Correct.
And that if we all began with the end in mind and saw ourselves as that 80-year-old man or
Right,
woman,
or
I'm
woman,
closer to
yeah.
that than you are, but if we saw ourselves there, how would it impact the investments we'd make for our lives today?
Correct.
Learn
That's good
Jelly,
stuff.
check it out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kyle,
Thank you very
for
much.
your time.
You're awesome.
You're awesome.